game. And here is the definition. SOP bukan ini ya standard operation procedure, no. It's about sales and operations planning. It's the process by which companies go from technical forecast to aggregate level sales and operations plan. So actually, forecast is just the beginning of the phase or the process that you have to do or analyze in order to produce something or in order to run your company. So after doing the forecast, you have to do the aggregate levels and also operations plan. Well, technically, aggregate. Okay, so for example, if when you do the forecast, something that you have learned before, you only measure about the demand. Let's say you work at a Coca-Cola company, so you have some demand, let's say here in January, in February, and then in March, and okay, that's done. Well, this is only just the forecast. In aggregate, you should do some analysis like more than just like defining like the forecast and also the demand. Let's say you want to produce Coca-Cola about 200 in February. So there are so many aspects that you have to think, like how many quantities that still left in your warehouse. So just because you need, your demand or your forecast is 200, it doesn't mean that you have to produce like exact in the number of 200. Could be more or could be less if you still have some quantity left in your warehouse. And there are some other things as well, especially about the labor. How many labor or how many workers that actually you need if you want to produce about 200, let's say in a week maybe, or in a month. And okay, you have the labor, you have to think also about the shift. Let's say you have 10 laborers. Is that okay if they work in just one shift, or maybe you have to divide into two shifts, like 5 in the in day, and then there will be another 5 in night shift. And there are a lot of things, including like the cost. So in this process or in this chapter, we're going to define all of these things because we have done with forecast. So that's why it's written in here. Plans maybe for the entire firm, because if we include like labor and cost, it means that it also involves not only operation department, but also another department, let's say like finance department or human resource management department, or for some set of the firm, not all of them. So maybe in entire firm, it means that you also can include marketing, but sometimes also not. So only just some of them, or some of a specific divisions, not in the entire department. Okay. Or could be also something like still related in the production itself, like production line or particular plant. So for example, like Bayer, the company that has one of the product we know as Baygon, it doesn't mean that Baygon is produced all over the world just because the company is originally from Germany. So maybe Baygon is just produced in one particular plant. For example, in Indonesia, it only sells in Indonesia, not in another company. Or maybe also productions line, because if you're still familiar with our visitation in Coca-Cola last year, wow, it's been a year already. It doesn't mean that all the production line in that factory produce just one product. So or all the same product. Could be just like one production line produce one particular type or particular size. So yeah, this is something, I know it's really complex, but this is part of the aggregate that we should analyze this, and also we should plan. And still related in some function as well, like sales, inventory, operation planning. here's some key goals or the objectives, something that you have to achieve in sales and operation planning. So the first one is make aggregate level plans that all division as well as supplier can work to. So this is something that really relates with the game that you are currently playing. So you can imagine now, like all that 4 roles or 4 all departments like sales and then purchasing, operation, and supply chain. You have to work all each other as all divisions, okay? And also you have to work with the supplier. I mean, like this is the particular role for purchasing. So, but in order to maximize the planning and also the getting a lot of profit in the end, yes, you have to consider all of the functions in this department and also all of their responsibility. Okay. Resolve the inherent tension between sales and operations division. So I don't know what is going on at the moment in each of your team, but as I can remember from the Fresh Connection game, sales and operation really has a very strong relation each other, because in sales you know the demand from customer, okay, and operations, they have responsibility to control the raw material, the finished goods, and what else that, okay, the machine as well, and the warehouse. There are so many responsibilities anyway for operation department. But yeah, that's it. There are a lot of responsibilities, so it's easy to have tensions between each other inter this department. So you have to work all together, have some mission, have some understanding, be in the same frequency, so you can solve like any problem that happens between your two departments. I don't know about the other groups in during our simulation game, tapi yang aku tahu sepertinya kasih bundo antara sales dan operation, mereka sudah mulai gelut satu sama lain. Moving on, the next one is anticipate and escalate strategic challenge in matching supply with demand for the firm. So you have to know, so there are 2 keywords that really important in production. The first one is supply, like how much that can you produce, how much that you have to stock in your warehouse as your safety stock, like how many raw materials that you need to have, and also the demand, like something you're going to sell in the customer. You have to put the strategy, make this or this, both of them balance, because if it's not, you will get some like loss, or in simulation games languages, the penalty, because if you supply less than the what's demand need, it means that you will also lose the profit because you cannot sell your product to the market. But if you supply like more, like a lot, even too much, and the quantity of the demand is not as much as what you have produced, so you will have also your product left in your warehouse, become expired and everything, and then in the end you also like have to lose some profit. So yep, you have to anticipate all of these things, not to mention another challenge like demo buruh misalnya, if you pay them not in a good wage, or your machine maybe is broken, or your supplier cannot send the raw material on time to your factory. So that's a lot of challenges that you have to face in production. Okay, questions in here so far? Any questions?
Miss, I thought that SOP it has other terms, not in that term gitu, Miss.
Sorry, gimana deh?
I thought SOP is
Standard
having
operation procedure.
iya itu, Miss.
That's why I told you in the beginning. Before I restart my computer, don't be confused with SOP, like standard operation procedure. Well, this is something that also really relate with production department and also safety department, like related about the step, about the step that you have to follow. But in here is SNOP, so sales and operation planning. So don't be confused with these two very similar terms. Okay, any other questions maybe? No questions? Okay, if there's no questions, moving on. Here, the definition about the aggregate planning. So here's the goal or the objective is to plan gross workforce level and set firm-wide production plan. So as I mentioned in my previous slide, so there are a lot of things that you have to consider. So two of them here is workforce or your labor, and also the production plan. Okay, so production plan is include a lot of things like raw material and also inventories, your stock in the warehouse, and machine as well include. Okay, so you have to plan and you have to manage all of these things. Next, maybe actual unit or maybe measure in week. So it's really important in aggregate planning to always define the unit scale. So imagine you are in the company that produce you are in the bakery company, so you produce bread. Okay, so you produce bread, and there are a lot of ingredients or raw material that you need. One of them is flour. Okay, so it's really important to have the unit scale, because if you just define, okay, in this month or this week we need 100 of flours, but we don't know what is the unit scale. Could it be 100 kilograms or 100 tons maybe, or even 100 liter? So it is very important to have the unit scale or measure everything. So everyone that also have the same responsibility with your data will know exactly what actually that you are planning about or you are analyzing about. Okay, the next one is can even be fictitious quantity. Biasanya ini, so this is the case. Well, this is some very special case that happens if okay, let's say that you input your data in your system. Okay, like okay, we have this quantity. For example, we have maybe like okay, we have like 100 kilograms of flour in our warehouse, but actually this 100 it's not physically exists in your warehouse. It could be still on the way from the supplier, or could be not in the form already because it has been processed, go to the production line. So that's why it can also be fictitious quantity. Sorry. So that's really complex. But the thing is, you have to make the data, you have to manage your data as real as possible. So you don't have to, in the end, you will not be confused with your own data. So we're talking about cost in here, about money, but later on, we're going to talk specifically about the cost next week on Wednesday. But here's some information that something that we're going to learn during this chapter. The first one is smoothing costs. Okay, there are two types. For example, the first one is changing size of the workforce. So here also including if you want to hire labor, if you want to fire them. So changing the size. So these two actions, for example, it will give you some effect in your size of the workforce. So hire and fire cost, something that you also have to consider, not only the quantity of your demand and forecast. And the next one is changing number of units produced. If you change the quantity, for example, okay, this month we're going to produce 100 bread, but next month we're going to produce 250. So this demand is changing. This demand is changing. It means that you have to buy more raw material, you have to hire more labor, for example, or you have to change the shift. So this and everything, every aspect or every decision that you make also will always affect with the cost that you're going to spend or you're going to get. Next, the second one is holding cost, opportunity cost of investment. So this one including, okay, holding cost is including inventory costs, like for example in the simulation game in operations, if I'm not mistaken, you can change the number of pallets in your warehouse, but this one, every decision that you make or every change that you make, it will affect your holding cost. Because if you increase your pallet, it means that you have to pay more as well for the holding cost. Then this is also a part of the investment because you invest more for your storage. The next one is shortage cost. So this is the condition when there is no any balance between your supply and your demand. So that's why the definition here is cost of demand exceeding stock on hand. So demand, your demand is higher than your supply. Okay, so that's why, because maybe your supply is just like 500, whether your demand is 750. So you have to face 250 short at. It means that you lost at this point because you're supposed to sell 750 quantities in the market, but you only can fulfill to 500. So this is your loss, and it's known as shortage cost. And some other costs like payroll, this is like the wage, monthly wage that you have to pay for your labor or for your worker. Overtime, when they are work more than, for example, something that's really common, when they work more than 40 hours per week, so you have to pay them more. Or also could be subcontracting, because you hire someone out from your company that responsible to like run one of the function in your company. Something that more common is third-party logistic. You have to pay for the distribution cost, for the transportation cost, well, something like that. Okay, any other questions until this part before we move on to exercise, or well, two calculations, if I would say.
Miss, I have a question, Miss.
Yes, Farida.
For shortage cost itu kalau misalnya kan dia demand-nya exceed kan, Miss. Maksudnya demand-nya melebihi dari stok yang kita punya. Berarti di sisi itu tuh menjadi berarti kita menyediakan barang yang sedikit dengan demand yang banyak, berarti kita ada opportunity di mana barang kita itu bakalan ini ya, Miss, untung sebenarnya ya Kak, bentar Kak. Iya nggak, Miss?
Not exactly. Okay, thank you for the question. Well, not exactly you will get the profit, instead you will get the loss. Karena misalnya tadi udah aku jelaskan, if you have demand, for example, like 750 in that week, but you only can fulfill like 500, itu berarti kan ada selisihnya 250 kan, okay? So you're supposed to sell 750, but in fact you only can produce 100. So you have lost about 250 in here. Let's say like one of the, okay, for each this product, it costs like $10. So actually you have lost about $2,500 because the short edge condition. Kayak gitu. So it's not a profit actually, it's a loss. Because harusnya di sini kalian kalau misalnya dia $10 ya, $10 each. Harusnya di sini kan berarti kalian bisa dapat 7.500 kan. Tapi ternyata kalian cuma bisa menjual sebanyak $5.000. Okay. So that's why you have you have lost about 2,500 because it's not balanced between the supply and demand. Clear, Farida?
Iya, Miss. Tapi kalau di kalau misalnya di perusahaan ya, saya mikirnya gini, Miss. Dibandingkan kita mempunyai banyak stok tapi customernya nggak ada dan malah membuat si produk kita malah jadi kayak tidak ada yang minat dan malah basi gitu istilahnya, Miss. Lebih baik kayak shorted cost kan, ya nggak, Miss? Atau salah, Miss? Atau lebih baik ya emang balance saja antara demand sama ininya sama yang kita punya.
Well, that's another case. I mean, like that's the function of analysis is actually because you can analyze. Kalau misalnya kalian hitung-hitung ternyata short edge-nya nggak banyak, misalnya kayak ternyata kita ya kalaupun kita nggak produksinya nggak sebanyak 750, misalnya okay, I'm going to write on the other page. Okay, tadi ya we have demand 750 and supply is 500. Let's say you cannot fulfill 750, maybe you only can fulfill 650. Kalau misalnya begini kan berarti dia selisihnya ada 100 kan, 100 quantity or $1,000 I would say. Kalau misalnya cuma 100 atau cuma 1.000 dan if you think that well that's okay, it's not a big deal, it's okay to have loss like this, so that's okay. You don't have to produce like a lot, but if the unbalance is quite high, for example, like here, like 2,500, well, you have to also still have to consider about this. Jadi sebenarnya balik lagi ke your analysis, your decision making, also your condition, the condition of your company. But overall, yeah, it's always important to have the same or as close as possible the value between your supply and your demand. So that's well, actually that's the reason why we have to learn forecast and later on why we have to learn about the inventory to have a good accuracy as much as possible between supply and demand. Okay, got it clear?
Clear, Miss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Farida. Any other questions? Any questions? Do you have any? Okay, thank you, Ade. If there is no questions, let's move on to sebentar ya. Okay, give me 1 minute. If there's no question, let's move on to the example. So we have idea what actually aggregate is. So here's another new case, something that you haven't seen it before. So there is a washing machine plant. So well, this is actually kind of a like laundromat or something. It's interested in determining workforce. Okay, so we're not only consider about demand right now, we also think about the workforce and production level for next 8 months. So it's forecasted. So this not it has been calculated, and this is our forecast from January to August 2020 respectively. And starting inventory at the end of December is 200. So remember, this forecast start in January, but in December we already have like 200 left. And the firm would like to have 100 units on hand at the end of August 2020. So we have to find no longer the forecast or no longer about the schedule, but monthly productions level, like how many that actually we have to produce for each month. Okay, the first thing, okay, this has been transformed into this kind of table. The first one is we have to determine the net demand. Okay, so this is something new in aggregate planning. We have this forecast from January to August, and here remember the inventory is in December 2019 is 200. Okay, the first thing that we have to calculate is to define the net predict demand. Well, this is actually your forecast at T period. Okay, forecast at T period, subtract with the inventory T minus 1 in the previous period. So, for example, you want to find the net predict demand in January. Well, it's going to be like this. Like we have forecast 420 in January, but we have already 200 in our inventory or in our warehouse. So it means you just have to subtract like 420 minus 200, and the result will be 220. So net predict demand is actually something that you predict the demand. So this is something like, okay, we're going to produce at this quantity. So for January, you only, well, even though your forecast is 420, you only have to produce like 220 because you already have 200 in your inventory from the previous month. That's net predict demand is. And later on you can continue because we don't have inventory left in here. So basically you have to produce the same quantity with the forecast in the next months. So just move the number in here. Okay, stop in July. But remember, it is said that, back again to the questions, the firm would like to have 100 units on hand at the end of August 2020. So it means that you should have like 100 quantity extra by the end of August. So here it doesn't mean that we have to produce exactly 125, but forecast is from the forecast is 125 plus, because we need to have 100 extra as the safety stock or on hand in our warehouse. So it should be 125 plus 100. And here the net predict demand will be 225 at the end. Next is the cumulative net demand. So you just have to sum all of them here because we start in January. So 220, and then for February is 220 taken from this previous month to net predict demand plus 280. In this part we have 500, and then you have to calculate for next 960, and then here 1460, 1605, 1715. But here remember it should be plus 225. So 1940. So it means during this 8 period of time or 8 months, we're going to produce 1,940 products in total. Okay, questions until this part? So here, as you can see that calculating or predicting or managing the production is not as easy just like, okay, we're doing the forecast and then that's all, we finish. Well, actually no, because as you can see, there are a lot of things as well that you have to consider. Okay, questions?
Miss Jen?
Ya.
Sorry, saya tadi agak ketinggalan di yang Januari itu. Itu net predicted demand-nya itu 220 karena 420 kurang 200 ya. Terus Februari itu Februarinya langsung 280 karena di Januari nggak ada inventory gitu ya, Miss?
Yep, exactly. Because we don't have, it means that we have consumed all of the inventory that left in the warehouse. So that's why in here we have the same net predict demand. That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Okay, thank you. Anissa, Penika, any other questions from you?
Miss, saya mau nanya, Miss.
Okay,
berarti kalau saya nggak wondering sih, Miss, kan itu dia dari forecast kan, Miss. Berarti belum maksudnya di sini tuh masih company yang cuman ada inventory tanpa ada demand-nya, forecast masih di forecast semua kan, Miss. Nah, terus kita disuruh nyari net predicted demand. Nah, which is net predicted demand-nya juga masih forecast, Miss.
Yeah, it's only it's a prediction, because the next thing, remember, the next thing we consider not only the production, we also have to compare with how many labors that we have. But yes, this is I would say this is the production, but if we compare to forecast, actually net predict demands is more accurate, because in forecast we just only consider, this is something that we're going to sell. But if we only calculate the forecast, we haven't considered yet about the inventory. We have to also think that what's left, how many quantities that we have at the moment. So it's kind of like it's similar with forecast, but it's something. But net predict demand is more accurate because we also consider the on hand or the quantity that we have at the same moment, at the same time.
Okay. Terus I wanna ask to Miss, how about the cumulative net demand? Kan cumulative net demand kan berarti jumlah keseluruhan kan, Miss, sampai dia Agustus 2020-nya. Nah, itu tuh kita bakalan nyediain barang segitu sampai I still don't get the cumulative meaning itself, Miss. Cuman untuk menghitung aja kita udah berapa demand yang kita bisa ini hasilin, atau itu bakal mempengaruhi juga ke yang lainnya, Miss?
Okay, thank you so much, Farida. Yep. Well, we actually need to calculate cumulative net demand, which brings us to the next level. Okay, I'm going to explain so we can get the idea for the answer from Farida. Okay, so step 2, you need to see the graph from cumulative net demands. So that's why I mean, like, kalau kalian lihat di company, there are so many graphic or something, tables, chart that some analysts or planners have to provide. Well, because we actually need a lot of graphics in order to plan our production. So here is the result from our cumulative net demand. So start from period 1, we have here like 220 until period 8 in August, we have 1,940. So we draw this figure or this chart like this. And here's, okay, so far in here we have to draw, and here is the thing. Suppose that we are interested in determining a production plan that doesn't change the size of the workforce over the planning horizon. So as we can go back again in here, so you can see that the predict demand is really like the data is really myriad. Like sometimes in March we have a lot of demand, but in April or even in July, like the demand is even less than half compared to the demand in March, and it will affect with the working hours for your labor as well. So as the thing that also apply in the company, we need to have like a fixed plan, a fixed time, and a fixed production per month. So you also doesn't need to change the your workforce very often. Nggak mungkin kan kalian kayak di mana ya? Contohnya kayak di bulan Maret nih, wah banyak banget nih demandnya, banyak banget demandnya di bulan Maret. Yaudah kita hire yuk pegawai yang banyak misalnya. Tapi ternyata di Juli demandnya nggak banyak. Wah nggak banyak nih, ya udahlah kita pecat aja yang kemarin kita hire di bulan Maret. Well, that's going to be really complex and really complicated unless you have some kind of agreement like, okay, we're going to contract you to work just for 5 months. Well, it can be, but it's still also really complicated. So here in the previous picture, we draw a straight line from origin to from period 1 to 120 until this quantity units in Ekman. Okay, and the next thing that you have to do is to draw these pink lines. Start from this part until this part. So as you can see the pink line in here. And after that, you can define the monthly production. So previously, Farida asked, like, what is exactly the function or the need that we have to calculate the cumulative net demand? Well, actually, it's important. I mean, like, we need that data because after that, we can calculate what exactly our monthly production in average. So let's say this is our cumulative net demand divided by periods. So we have 8 periods in here. And the result will be 242.2. But here's the thing, because we are going to produce like a concrete fiction, the concrete object, so it could not be in decimal, okay? So it will be, well, more or less 242, okay, per month. Or for this case, because this is okay, or could be also like 243 because well, we have something we don't know, like maybe there's another thing that have left as well. So let's assume that, okay, we're going to produce at least like 243 per month. But okay, the question is, how can we have a constant workforce plan with no stock out? Okay, as you can see in here, okay, it is said that these 243, there will be a condition where we're going to have a stock out. So it means that, let's say if you're going to produce like 243 per month, you will have a stock out in here. Why? Because as you can see in here, kalau misalnya kalian memproduksi paling banyak 243 per bulan, so there will be a condition that you will have stock out in March or in period 3 because your demand in March is 460. Okay, if you produce only 243, you will have stock out because you need like almost 2 times in March. So that's why the question is, how can we have a constant workforce plan with no stock out? So it doesn't mean that, okay, this is the monthly production in average, but you still need going to have you're still going to have a stock out if you come up with that kind of plan. So another action or another analysis that you can use with the or you can do is by using the same graph, you can find the straight line that goes through the origin and lies completely above cumulative net demand curve. So here's the thing. So remember previously we draw in the slope like this, okay? But now we draw a straight line above your curve or about the data of your cumulative net demand. And as you can see, the first intersection that we have is in here. Yang pertama kali bertabrakan ya, if you draw a straight line, the first intersection is in here on period 3. Okay, we have that on period 3, and back again to our data. Based on the cumulative net demand in period 3 or in March, the net demand is 960. So remember, it happens in, okay, because the first intersection came from period 3 and the cumulative net demand is 960. So I mean, like the first possible that there will be a stock out will be happen in period 3 karena dia pertama kali bersinggungan di sini ya. Jadi pertama kalinya dalam grafik ini, kalau kalian buat plan seperti tadi 243, pertama kali stock out akan terjadi di period 3. Well, that's the function of this line actually. So you can define another monthly production in here by dividing 960 divided by 3 because it starts in period 3 and the result is 320. So it means the ideal one or the ideal quantity for the production each month is 220 per month. Instead of 243, it's better to have or to produce constantly like 320 per month. Questions until this part?
Miss, I got confused when how did you get that red line, Miss?
Which one red line?
Is it
Here?
red or pink? It's pink line. Okay, yeah, Miss.
Yeah, it's pink.
Yeah, itu, Miss.
No, it's magenta to be exact. Anyway, well, you just can draw it by yourself. This one because it's already given. But actually, in order to find a constant production, no, you just can simply draw like a straight line in here, and you can and after that you should see like in which period like the first intersection like exists. In here the first intersection is in period 3. Jadi cuma digambar aja Ade. There's no any like the baseline, like you should calculate something for this purple or magenta lines, no. Jadi yang based on calculation is only for this curve from cumulative demand. This one is just like straight line to define, you find the first stock out that will come in which period of time.
Oh yeah, so basically we just need to define it by ourselves then, sir.
Yeah,
we can get
yep.
it really good.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? But just to make sure, jadi garisnya itu kayak tegak lurus ya, jangan kayak kalian bikin garisnya begini atau kalian bikin garisnya begini misalnya. It should be in the straight line like 90 derajat, okay? Any other questions until this part?
Sorry, Miss.
Yeah.
What did you mean 90 derajat to what ya, Miss?
Oh, Enggak, maksudnya garisnya ini yang kalian buat harus 90 derajat. Dalam artian kalau diukur dari sini, dia tegak lurus gitu loh, 90 derajat. Bukan miring kayak gini, atau kayak gini. Karena kalian pikirnya kayak, yaudah sih yang penting garisnya lurus. Enggak, harus dia should be 90 degrees line. Sorry, 45, Deng. Sorry, 45. Sorry, siku-siku ya, 45 derajat.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Miss. I get it right now.
Okay, thank you. No question from the rest of you? If there is no questions, we continue to last part in our discussion today. So we know that it's better to have production like 320 per month. Okay, and this is something that we have calculated before, like we have the forecast, and then this is our inventory, this is the predict demand. Okay, so here is something just to predict, but not the exact one. And then we have the cumulative net demand in here. So the next thing is we need to define the cumulative production. Okay. So remember the cumulative production is actually based on what you are going to produce per month. So we have the constant production now in here, like 320. So here you just have to like do some cumulative calculations. So for January is 320, and then February is 640 because it's 320 times 2, and then this one plus 320 again. We have this, and then here this one. So this is going our cumulative production. So not something that predict anymore. Jadi bukan prediksi lagi ya. Because now we have a constant production. So it means that each month we are going to produce at the same quantity, which is 320. And by the end of August, we're going to produce like 2,560 quantity in total. And the last thing is we need to calculate our inventory. So for this part, this is basically you just can subtract for cumulative production minus the cumulative net demand, because you have to compare your production and your demand. All right. So remember, we have a forecast in January, but we have inventory 200. So now the production, or I mean like the demand is now like 220. But because we produce, for example, here like 320 in total, so it means because we produce 320 in total and the actual demand is only 220, so it means in January we're going to have 100 inventory left. Okay, and you can also calculate for the same for the rest of the table, like 640 minus 500. Here we have 140, and then now here it's 0. So it means that after March, remember, because in March, it's going to be like the largest demand within this 8 period. But in here, we no longer have stock out. Okay, we still can fulfill our demand in here. We don't have a shortage or something like that, but it will affect that we're going to have like 0 inventory by the end of the period because everything will be consumed. But well, that's okay because after that you're going to produce again and then still do the same calculation. Here we have 130, this one, and then this one. And by the end of the period, we're going to have 620 left in our warehouse or in our inventory. Okay, so that's basically how to calculate aggregate planning by consider the constant production. Okay, so it doesn't mean that if you have high demand, so you should hire more person, but if you have less demand, let's say in July, so you have to fire some of your workers. No, you still have, it's still possible to have like some constant of production like this. That's all. Questions about the aggregate
Miss,
planning?
I'm sorry, Miss.
Yeah.
I would like to ask in Jan 2020 cumulative productionnya 320 dari yang tadi kita hitung. Terus 640 itu dari mana, Miss? Sampai ke bawahnya. Saya masih nggak memperhatikan. Thank you, Miss.
Okay, 640 is 320 tambah 320. Remember, because this one is cumulative production, and because we have constant production per month, so it's basically just 320 plus 320, and then 640 tambah 320 lagi, hasilnya 960, and so on and so forth. So it's just
Okay,
a
Miss,
cumulative production. Yeah. So remember the difference between cumulative net demand and also cumulative production. Cumulative net demand, you have to calculate or you have to sum up based on the net predict demand, because in here, in net predict demand, you don't have a constant production yet. So this is purely based on demand in the next period. But in cumulative production, because we now know like what exactly that we have to produce per month. So this is basically just like calculate the constant production per month. Thank you, Farida, for the questions. Any other questions? No questions? Clear enough? Okay, thank you, Barry. So for next Wednesday, we'll still continue with this case, but the difference is because today we're just focusing on the constant production. But remember the other things that we also have to consider. Well, actually, there are two things. The first one is the labor, and the second one is the production cost itself. So we're going to cover that two aspects next Wednesday. Jadi let's keep this data. Like we have this constant production like 320, but but we don't know yet like how many workers or how many labors that we need. So we're going to calculate, or we're going to analyze that kind of things in the next period or next meeting, I mean. All right, no questions? If there's no questions, well, I think that's all for today. I mean, like for aggregate planning, if you have any questions or still confused about how to analyze this kind of things, you can ask me later on next Wednesday. And no homework for this week. I'm going to give you homework about the aggregate planning next week. So yeah, you can have a little bit rest for this week at least. You don't have to work for PSA homework. Okay, no questions. So if there is no more questions, let's move on to our simulation game. Pabrik Anggur Merah. Jadi ready mau melihat hasilnya seperti apa? Atau ada komen dulu, ada feedback, ada testimoni before I show you the result? Karena ternyata ada yang cukup bagus mainnya. Ingat ya, jadi ROI-nya kemarin itu -4 kan. Ternyata sekarang ada yang udah bisa positif, jadi 1%. Tapi ada juga yang jatuh bebas ke -24. Like, wow, what are you doing guys? Sampai dia bisa jadi -24 seperti ini. Pertama sih cuma coba-coba. Oke, so iya, jatuh bebas, serius. Aku kayak, wow, -24. Aku aja separah-parahnya aku main, nggak pernah tuh sampai -24. Nggak apa-apa, baru pertama. Buat anak kok, coba-coba. Oke, ready? So, ready because, one of satu hal karena I don't know, but I couldn't see the rank for each role at the moment. Jadi nanti yang bisa melihat rankingnya adalah kalian. Jadi be ready guys. Nanti aku akan tanya random ya untuk share screen. So maybe I can give you time, maybe like 1 minute or 2 minutes just to open your simulation game. Ready nggak ready? Ready. Oke. Sebentar ya. Oke, aku share screen ya. Di sini kalau mau, karena di sini udah sesinya bebas, jadi kalau mau nyalain mic buat teriak atau mau komen, mau nyalahin orang di sini bebas aja ya. Feel free. Tapi jangan teriak tiba-tiba ya, karena aku lagi pakai headset nih. Ntar meledak lagi telinganya. Oke, ready ya? Aku share ya. Let's see. Inilah hasilnya ronde pertama. Okay, if you can see the result that congratulations to PT Calon Menantu Idaman, karena di minggu ini dia yang di first position for ronde pertama simulation game. Terus disusul sama posisi kedua ada Bachelor Production System Analysis Tim 3. Ini siapa sih yang belum ganti namanya? Si Gelut AE. Kalian belum pada ganti nama geng sepertinya ya. Masih Tim 3. Congratulations. Terus, kelihatan kan share screen-nya? Posisi ketiga ada Kasih Bundo. Wah, Kasih Bundo ada apa kalian? Udah sampai -13 aja jatuh bebas. Terus yang keempat ada PT Mencari Cinta Sejati. Posisi kelima ada Tim 6. Tim 6 tolong ganti nama. Terus yang terakhir ada si GGS ya. Wah, ini kayaknya elok nih punya kelakuan nih, makanya sampai -24. Oke, ini hasilnya yang pertama. Oke, any comments, any feedback, any testimoni? Atau mau share sesuatu apa yang terjadi sama company kalian?
Permisi, Miss. Saya
Yes.
mau...
Silakan, Mbak Desandi.
Ini, Miss, udah ganti nama, Miss, di profil. Ini juga saya lagi buka profilnya, cek balik. Oh, udah ganti nama jadi itu.
Kayaknya...
Nggak Tim 6, tapi nggak tahu deh. Masa internet saya bermasalah untuk kedua kalinya, Miss?
Oh, oke. Atau kayaknya mungkin ada dari temen kamu yang belum ganti nama semuanya sampai tampilannya kayak gitu. But that's okay. Let me check ya nanti.
Oh, itu harus semua timnya ganti nama, Miss, 4-4-nya?
Iya, harus semuanya.
Oh, oke. Saya belum ngingetin yang lain sih buat ganti juga. Saya kira satu orang ganti, keganti semua gitu.
Nah, Oke, no worries, nggak apa-apa, itu bisa nanti. Thank you ya, Mbak Desandi. Oke, tunggu aku lupa komposisi grup kalian siapa aja ya. Oke. Itu idaman, wah ternyata kaptennya Jen ya. Jen, kamu bisa share screen, Jen, biar kita bisa lihat sama-sama apa yang terjadi sama company kamu sekarang setelah ronde pertama. Jen, or maybe anyone dari calon menentu idaman. Tara, Farida, Bajuri, Dila, Anissa, Samsiatul, any of you?
Miss, di websitenya masih competition close, Miss.
Oh iya, belum dibuka. Sorry ya. Sebentar. Oh ya, must be close. Sebentar ya, dibuka dulu. Oke, udah bisa? Udah bisa akses? Udah ya? Oke. Apa? Udah bisa kan? Kelihatan? Oh ya, udah bisa sih, udah open. Udah bisa kelihatan ya masing-masing. Jadi silakan dari calon menantu idaman ya yang pertama. Silakan di share screen, diceritain apa yang kalian lakukan, kiat-kiat suksesnya seperti apa.
Yes, Miss.
Oke, bisa di share screen mungkin anyone, Bajuri mungkin, atau anyone dari calon menantu idaman. Oh, kayak kamu yang paling ganteng ya di grup kamu.
Ya itu.
Iya itu, ya itu apa? Ya itu saya yang paling ganteng gitu maksudnya. Ya. Oke, Bajuri boleh di share screen.
Berikut, Miss. Tampilan kepusingannya, Miss.
Oke, bisa ke my company-nya. Enggak. Ke ranking dulu, Deng. Ke ranking. Oke, kita lihat bareng-bareng ya rankingnya. Siapa aja. Oke, jadi ini tadi yang aku bilang rankingnya berdasarkan masing-masing. Jadi kalau ditanya grades-nya, ya calon menantu idaman untuk nilai grupnya dapat 100. Terus yang kedua, Gelut AE dapat 0,07 itu dapat skor, nanti nilainya dapat 95 dan seterusnya. Terus kita ke ranking per role-nya. Jadi kita lihat, jadi hanya karena calon menantu idaman di peringkat pertama bukan berarti mereka bagus di semua role ya. Bisa jadi mereka ada juga peringkat 4-nya. Coba di sebelahnya ya itu ROI. Yang from ROI ya diganti ke sales and then show. Nah ini jadi walau ternyata yang paling jago so far untuk jadi sales itu dari PT Mencari Cinta Sejati. Terus habis itu
Cinta Sejati.
Terus yang kedua calon menantu idaman. Jadi nilainya nanti ada 2 ya. Ada di nilai role-nya, terus ada nilai grupnya juga seperti apa. Oke, thank you Nurmar. Oh, dari Rizka ya. Wah, ternyata Rizka jago jualan anaknya. Oke, move on ke role yang lain. Coba Bajuri. Kita lihat. Miss. Operations show. Coba diklik dulu show-nya. Ternyata ternyata kamu melakukan, berarti pasti nanti di company-nya ada merahnya, nanti kita lihat ya. So congrats Diani dan Dinda. Diani yang nggak tahu caranya pakai Microsoft Teams, ternyata dia jago ngurusin operations berdua bareng Dinda. Congrats kasih Bundo. Next ke supply chain ya yang berikutnya.
Yes, Miss.
Oh,
Purchasing, Miss.
deh, boleh. Wah, Farid bilang. Oke, yang berikutnya mencari cinta sejati. Yayang ternyata bisa menghandle supplier dengan baik. Jadi ini ya, tadi yang di peringkat 6 kan GGS ya, tapi ternyata siapa? Ifat sama Elok, sebenarnya dia jago kok.
Elok jago, Miss.
Ya. Jadi silahkan kamu salahin departemen yang lain, berarti nilai kamu jelek bukan dari purchasing, ternyata bisa jadi dari departemen yang lain. Oke, calon menantu idaman Tara dengan Farida di peringkat 4. Terakhir ke supply chain. Elok gitu-gitu ternyata jago ya, baru tahu.
Jago, Miss. Elok, Miss.
Maaf ya, Elok, aku mengunderestimate kamu selama ini. Oke, yang terakhir Barbar Group Maulidina yang di peringkat pertama. BTW Maulidina ini dia pemain tunggal loh, nggak ada partnernya. Iya nggak sih Maulidina? Jadi oke, jago kamu menghandle supply chain, ternyata seorang diri. Disusul sama Siwi, calon menantu idaman di peringkat ketiga, Gelut kasih Bundo, Leonardo kemarin sama siapa ya? Sama Adelia ya? Wah, lo kayak kamu harus marahin Adelia deh, karena Adelia kemarin kan katanya pasrah-pasrah aja tergantung kapten. Silakan diperbaiki performance company-nya masing-masing. Oke, thank you Bajuri. Let's move on to my company. Nah, ayo kita melihat ubek-ubek isi company-nya seperti apa. Nah, kalau kita, ini nanti screen-nya juga pasti sama kalian walaupun beda-beda ya. Jadi nanti itu di bawah udah ada average score-nya. Jadi misalnya ini operations average score-nya dari semua grup 6 orang operations itu average score-nya udah ada kelihatan di bawah. Dan your score itu di atas. Jadi kalau misalnya warnanya hijau, berarti tim kalian aman. Jadi kayak production plan adherence-nya di mana? Di PT calon menantu idaman ini dia performance-nya bagus. Makanya udah sampai 90% dan tidak ada yang merah. Which is good. Nanti, yang di notes-nya itu yang kolom kuning, karena kalian udah main ronde pertama, jadi problemnya, jadi case-nya yang di box-nya itu udah beda-beda ya, udah nggak sama lagi.
Yes,
jadi tergantung masalah company-nya masing-masing gitu. Oke. Coba ke yang lain, ke hijau, anyone? Purchasing mungkin. Tadi kamu yang paling diklik aja yang hijaunya.
Ini bisa. Oh ya, bisa.
Ya. Oke, bagus ya ternyata purchasing-nya. Purchasing-nya tadi siapa yang pertama ya? Purchasing Yayang ya yang pertama.
Ya.
Yang ketiga, oke nanti kita lihat deh punya kelompoknya ya. Yang di sini raw materialnya udah bagus, delivery reliability-nya juga oke, tapi kamu masih punya banyak rejection komponen. Jadi istilahnya botolnya kemarin case-nya botol PT-nya kan masih banyak yang nggak sesuai dengan standar quality-nya PT calon menantu idaman. Ini case-nya udah lain, ya makanya case-nya masih sama kan, problemnya itu masih di botol PET lagi. Jadi nanti silakan diperbaiki. Move on ke grup yang lain. Bukan grup yang lain, divisi yang lain. Iya.
Legend, Miss.
Wah, ternyata ada yang merah. Supply chain. Ternyata stok produknya masih tinggi ya. Tapi overall sebenarnya udah oke sih, buktinya nggak ada problem di supply chain-nya kalian. Udah ada profit. Congratulations, tapi kalian ada di peringkat berapa ya? Oh, peringkat ketiga ya. Paling stok produknya aja yang butuh di maintain berarti ya finish good-nya. Oke, terakhir sales. Wow, bagus. Nggak ada yang merah, nggak ada yang kuning malah. Oke, udah oke. Jadi kalau obsolete products itu maksudnya dia sudah 4% tuh berarti kalian nggak punya banyak produk yang deket sama kadaluarsa. Jadi nggak berlebihan juga stoknya dan bisa dijual sesuai dengan shelf life yang bagus atau maksa expire yang bagus ke customer. Terus level outbound-nya juga udah oke, jadi basically bagus. Paling masalahnya masih di obsolete product ya, ternyata ada satu lagi, ternyata obsolete Freshly Orange 1 liternya tinggi. Jadi silakan di-maintain, jangan sampai banyak yang expire Freshly Orange 1 liternya. Oke, thank you PT Calon Menantu Idaman. Ada pertanyaan mungkin dari company-company yang lain yang mau bertanya kiat-kiat suksesnya Menantu Idaman? Oke, Aan, Bajuri gimana?
Miss, ini nanti berarti datanya itu yang untuk ronde kedua using this data yang dari round pertama ini Miss berarti.
Yap, jadi ini yang data yang sama ya. Kalian lanjut lagi di ronde berikutnya.
Oke, Miss.
Oke. Thank you ya. Yang lain ada komen, ada pertanyaan? Ada pertanyaan untuk para calon menantu idaman? Yes, ya deh.
Agak ada confused, Miss.
Ya,
Di
yang mana?
tim saya itu kebanyakan top 3, Miss. Tapi kok minus, Miss?
Kamu timnya yang mana ya?
Itu apa?
Mencari cinta sejati, Miss.
Iya itu, Miss.
Oh ya udah deh, kita share screen deh, mencari cinta sejati. Kita lihat apa yang terjadi di company-nya kamu.
Okay,
Anyone?
Rizka, apa aku Riz yang series?
Adik-adik.
Bentar.
Gak usah panik, santai. Oh ya, mencari cinta sejati. Coba aku lihat. Oke, my company. Kita ke my company.
Saya kadang bukannya ngegas atau gimana, misalnya kadang tuh over excited. Jadi
Iya. Nggak apa-apa, maklum kok. Oke, kita lihat. Jadi walaupun di peringkat pertama, tapi kita harus bandingin juga performance masing-masing poinnya ya. Kalau di sini bedanya tadi mungkin sama calon menantu idaman. Di sini kan adherence-nya kalian tinggi. Terus oke, kita mulai dulu dari purchasing ya. Raw material cost-nya itu lebih tinggi dari average. Jadi walaupun kalian di peringkat ketiga, walaupun banyak yang di peringkat pertama, tapi overall performance-nya ingat ya, yang namanya company kan pasti dia mempengaruhi satu sama lain kan antar departemen gitu. Jadi raw material cost-nya masih tinggi di sini. Kayaknya kalian order terlalu banyak atau gimana? Terus yang berikutnya itu delivery reliability-nya ya. Jadi ada yang kalian ganti gitu delivery reliability-nya.
Iya ada Miss kayaknya Miss.
Diganti jadi berapa? Jadi 4 jam ya?
Kayaknya Miss.
Oke, nah itu salah satu faktornya ya. Kalau yang purchasing delivery reliability-nya itu bisa jadi tinggi karena kalian misalnya nih kalian ganti jadi 4 jam gitu kan, itu kan berarti kayak maksa banget, kalian maksa banget ke suppliernya yang kayak gua nggak mau tahu pokoknya 4 jam harus dikirim gitu, sementara mungkin reliability mereka nggak bisa promising gitu, akan secepat itu gitu, karena kan kalau kalian lihat di detailnya purchasing juga ada lead time masing-masing kan, ada lead time-nya mereka berapa hari. Apalagi kalau misalnya kalian ngirimnya yang kayak jeruk yang dari United States yang lama pakai shipping, terus habis itu kalian maksa 4 jam. Wah, itu doesn't make sense sih. Kayak gitu. Makanya delivery reliability-nya jadinya rendah, jadinya drop. Gitu. Oke, move on kita ke departemen ya. Oke, yang ini juga ya production plan adherence-nya juga ada problem di sini. Coba scroll ke bawah lagi dikit, Ade. Nah, jadi di sini ada high utilization rate. Jadi ini kayaknya kamu ada ngubah shift-nya ya. Awalnya kan 2 shift kan. Jadi mungkin ada yang kamu ganti ya. Entah diubah jadi 1 shift doang atau jadi 3 shift. Nah, itu makanya dia berpengaruh sama ininya ya. Sama production plan-nya gitu. Oke.
Yeah.
Jadi ingat ya, karena kan ibaratnya kalian operation untuk adherence ini kalian harus kerjasama dengan supply chain, kerjasama dengan purchasing juga. Jadi kayak nggak bisa kayak seenaknya aja. Oh ya udahlah shiftnya kita kasih banyak jadi 4 atau jadi 3 misalnya. Tapi ternyata kalian nggak punya raw material yang banyak ya. Ngapain shiftnya jadi banyak kalau nggak ada juga yang mau diproduksi. Nah seperti itu.
Oh ya, oke, Miss.
Yap. Move on ke yang lain, supply chain yang merah.
Oh, salah pencet. Aduh. Bentar.
Nggak apa-apa.
Ini Miss merah ya. Oh.
Iya. Oke, mari kita lihat apa yang terjadi. Wah, skornya mana? Hilang. Skornya nggak bisa.
Bentar, Miss.
Oke, nggak apa-apa.
Nah.
Yap. Coba. Tadi. Oh ya, supply chain belum ya. Nah, ini tadi kan aku bilang adherence-nya kalian kurang, adherence-nya kalian nggak bagus karena bisa jadi shift-nya kalian ganti, tapi ternyata raw materialnya belum tentu ada. Nah, di sini kan kelihatan ternyata kalian availability komponennya nggak bagus gitu, sampai merah. Dalam artian ya tadi kalian nge-force untuk banyak shift-nya, banyak produksinya, tapi dari supply chain sebenarnya ya kalian nggak punya material, jadi apa yang mau diproduksi kayak gitu. Makanya di kalau kalian lihat di box merahnya itu kan banyak notes-nya kan, ada low level availability, vitamin C sama PET, terus PET-nya juga low level of stock, sementara vitaminnya sendiri banyak stoknya, nggak tahu di bawahnya apalagi tuh, orange and PET-nya juga bermasalah. Jadi ibaratnya kayak nggak balance gitu antara yang mau kalian produksi atau mau kalian kerjakan di operation, sementara raw material kalian sendiri juga nggak ada, kayak gitu. Makanya availability komponennya nggak bagus.
Oh, nggak imbang ya, Miss. Ini yang vitamin C-nya high tapi buat tempatnya malah dikit gitu ya, Miss ya?
Yap, exactly. Kayaknya nanti kalian harus ngelihat ke detail reportnya yang di bagian sales, itu nanti ada tuh kelihatan demand-nya per produk apa, terus demand per customer-nya apa. Yang seingat aku sebenarnya vitamin C nggak banyak-banyak banget sih demand-nya, lebih banyak orange, lebih banyak freshy orange gitu. Nah, di sini yang terakhir gross margin-nya, gross margin customer-nya rendah. Ini pasti kalian punya penalty, bisa dicek nanti di finance. Sama service level outbound order lines-nya juga ini kayaknya ada yang kalian ganti ya, priority mungkin atau first come first serve. Nah, itu juga mempengaruhi loh. Walaupun sebenarnya bagus sih, kalian nggak punya banyak obsolete produk. Ya, nggak punya banyak obsolete produk karena dihabisin semua. Tapi jadinya raw materialnya juga jadinya habis kan gitu. Jadi kayak kalian ibaratnya kayak mau cuci gudang gitu lah. Ya udahlah, habisin aja stoknya gitu. Jadi akhirnya juga nggak punya raw material kayak gitu. Ya, dibenerin ya di ronde kedua. Ada pertanyaan? Dari
udah, Miss, itu aja, Miss.
Oke, dari Mencari Cinta Sejati ada pertanyaan. Mungkin kalian chatnya banyak banget, jadi kalau tenggelam mohon maaf ya. Oke, pertanyaan dari Savana katanya, Mi, cara tahu purchasing cost-nya itu gimana? Oke, karena masih di share screen sama Ade, kamu bisa ke purchasing. Klik
Mana,
di
Miss?
purchasing. Bukan,
Ini.
bukan yang purchasing, yang di sebelah.
Oh.
Nah, kayak gitu. Oh, belum ya? Coba ke
Ini
purchasing.
purchasing Miss hijau.
Bukan yang ini, tulisan purchasingnya. Ya,
Oh,
menu
ini.
purchasingnya. Yes. Coba di report di bawah situ ada komponen. Di report sebelah kiri bawah ada komponen report, kiri bawah ada komponen. Nah, itu coba diklik. Kamu share entire screen ya. Nah, ini kelihatan demand-nya berapa. Ini tadi ya, karena Savana nanya purchasing cost-nya berapa. Nah, ini nih kelihatan ada purchase price-nya berapa, ada demand-nya berapa, ada transport cost-nya juga ya, karena kalian harus bayar ongkirnya dari distributor atau di supplier. Jadi kalau mau tahu detail informasinya bisa ke report ya, report yang ada di menu masing-masing departemen. Oke, Savana dan yang lain. Ada
Miss, nggak bisa apa ya Miss ganti ini, misalnya ganti vendornya gitu.
Oh, ganti vendor. Oh, bisa, tapi nanti.
Yang pas ronde pertama kemarin saya nggak bisa Miss, padahal kan masalahnya kan dari jeruknya yang cepat kadaluarsa. Kami tuh pikir itu mau ganti jeruk yang tidak kadaluarsa, tapi ternyata tidak ada di sini.
Oh, belum nanti ya.
Oh, belum.
Aku lupa ada di berapa. Karena kan nggak bisa kalau di purchasing itu kalian nggak bisa kayak wah jelek nih reject aja. Kan bisa jadi kalian juga udah terikat kontrak kan. Jadi kayak 6 bulan, 1 tahun. Ibaratnya kayak ya udahlah nunggu kontraknya habis dulu baru kalian cari vendor lain kayak gitu.
Oh iya, oke bisa.
Oke, ada yang mau ditanyakan mungkin dari yang lain di timnya calon menantu idaman?
Ayo
salah deh,
teman-teman jombloku yang mencari cinta
mencari
sejati.
cinta sejati. Ada yang mau
Ada yang mau
ditanyakan?
tanya ke Miss ya enggak?
Ada yang mau ditanyakan? Oke, kalau nggak ada, thank you so much ya, Ade dan PT Mencari Cinta Sejati. Yang berikutnya mau aku panggil adalah dari Kasih Bundo, yang peringkat pertama untuk operation-nya. Terang aja lo, Gary. Ada yang peringkat pertama kok dari kalian yang ternyata kalian underestimate Diani, ternyata dia menyelamatkan kalian di operation.
Itu di carry sama Dinda, Miss. Bukan Diani mah numpang doang itu, Miss.
Oh iya dia gaptek ya. Sorry aku baru ingat. Oke, Dinda mungkin bisa di-share screen apa yang terjadi di operations.
Udah ke-share belum, Miss?
Udah. Kelihatan gede banget.
Nih.
Oke, yang bikin aku ya. Bentar. Oke, thank you Dinda udah di mute. Oke, yang bikin mereka peringkat pertama, jadi yang bikin Kasih Bundo peringkat pertama untuk operationsnya karena mereka performance-nya bagus untuk production plan adherence. Jadi mereka bisa memaintain shift dan labor-nya dengan baik. Jadinya peringkatnya peringkat pertama. Karena lihat sendiri nggak ada yang merah kan di operations ini. Kalaupun ada ya paling ROI-nya aja. Karena emang ini kan hasil dari semua grup. Oke, thank you operations. Kita moving on ke departemen lain mungkin. Oke, ada yang mau bertanya siapa?
Diani.
Oh ya, Diani.
Sebenarnya saya masih bingung kalau misal kita nambah shift itu kita ngaruhnya kemana, Miss? Apa cut processing time-nya atau gimana? Kalau either kita increase speed atau use SMAD kan udah jelas kan efeknya kemana. Nah, tapi kalau nambah shift ini saya masih ngawang efeknya kemana, Miss?
Oke, kalau kamu increase termasuk yang lain ya, yang di operations. Kalau kalian increase shift-nya, sebenarnya ngefeknya adalah yang pertama akan ngefek ke supply chain. Karena ya itu tadi jangan sekedar increase shift aja, karena kalian harus mesti ini, kalau kalian increase shift kan berarti consider yang dikerjain banyak kan gitu. Punya raw material atau enggak gitu. Jangan sampai increase shift tapi case-nya sama tadi ya, kayak mencari cinta sejati. Jangan sampai increase shift tapi raw materialnya nggak ada gitu. Termasuk juga kalian jangan increase shift tapi ternyata demand-nya nggak butuh-butuh banget kayak gitu. Dan karena strateginya seperti itu, ya nanti ngaruh juga kan ke purchasing. Kalau kalian minta raw material banyak, berarti dari purchasing departemennya kan juga harus mendesak-desak suppliernya kan, yang kayak kirimin dong banyak, kita kirimin dong cepet, kita butuh nih buat produksi kayak gitu. Jadi relate sih antara satu dengan lain departemen.
Kalau misal kita nambah shift itu, kita nambah hire worker lagi nggak, Miss? Soalnya di ininya nggak ada keterangan berapa worker yang harus kita tambah gitu-gitu.
Kalian tidak nambah worker, tapi kalau misalnya nanti bisa ke departemennya dan diklik, di situ kan ada detailnya tuh, overtime-nya berapa gitu. Kalau nambah shift kan berarti ada overtime atau dan sebagainya, makanya ngaruhnya ke cost-nya sih. Gitu.
Oh, oke, Miss. Makasih.
Yap. Thank you operations Kasih Bundo. Kita ke departemen lain mungkin dikasih Bundo apa yang terjadi. Oke, purchasing. Nah, kayak ini reliability suppliernya bagus ya gitu. Jadi mereka bisa mengirimkan on time atau sesuai dengan agreement. Masalahnya adalah di raw materialnya, raw material cost-nya. Jadi itu cost ya, iya benar. Jadi cost raw materialnya terlalu tinggi. Bisa jadi karena kalian service levelnya diganti, terus habis itu ternyata bukan premium. Nah makanya jadinya juga cost-nya jadinya mahal seperti itu. Oke, dan ternyata masih ada problem ya di botol PET-nya. Jadi nanti diutak-atik lagi ya, dianalisis lagi di ronde berikutnya. Oke, pindah departemen lain, supply chain mungkin. Wow, yang ini jelas ya, stok produk. Stok produk, makanya di sini problemnya adalah pack 1 liter has a high level of stock. Jadi ini lebih ke finish good-nya ya. Sepertinya kalian memproduksi terlalu banyak untuk untuk produk yang 1 liter itu. Makanya stok kalian banyak gitu. Jadi yang berikutnya jangan terlalu banyak stok untuk yang produk 1 liter. Nggak usah order botol 1 liter dulu yang terlalu banyak. Itu kan katanya decrease safety stock kan, atau bisa jadi ya kalau nanti order ke supplier jangan pakai palet, pakai box aja cukup kayak gitu. Oke, terakhir ke sales. Wow. Gary, Roma di sini kalian harus marahan ya berdua. Anyway, kalau gross margin itu yang sebenarnya kenapa Gary?
Yang jadi sales dua-dua cowok, Miss, nggak ada daya tarik buat
tidak bisa upselling, Miss. Customer-nya tidak tertarik,
nggak ada daya tarik.
Udah salesnya cowok, Gary lagi sama Roma ya.
Ya kan, Gary ada daya tarik.
Ada daya tarik. Roma.
Iya, aku bisa daya jual yang mendukung.
Iya, kayaknya daya tariknya kurang ya, makanya obsolete-nya jadi banyak, dalam artian banyak yang nggak kejual, jadinya tinggal aja dan jadi kadaluarsa gitu, makanya obsolete produknya tinggi banget. Ya, tinggi banget obsolete produknya itu 2 kali lipat dari average loh, average-nya cuma 8% dan kalian 17%, jadi jualan yang benar lagi ya, kalian berdua tunjukkan pesonamu gitu supaya customernya banyak yang mau beli. Oke, kita lihat obsolete-nya mana tuh yang banyak. Freshy orange peach, freshy orange mango, freshy sea power. Wah, banyak tuh. Ya itu harus dijual yang ini ya, jual yang benar. Jadi lihat demand customernya yang banyak untuk 3 produk itu dari customer yang mana sih, kayak gitu kan. Terus ya udah kalian naikkan ininya. Kalian bisa ganti service levelnya, terus ganti sama shelf life-nya juga, biar laku jualannya, kayak gitu. Wah, that's all from Kasih Bundo. Ada pertanyaan Kasih Bundo atau grup yang lain? Ada pertanyaan untuk Kasih Bundo mungkin?
Nggak tahu sih, Miss. Kami juga bingung, Miss.
Oke, ya udah nggak apa-apa. Tadi ini yang bagus berarti operationsnya ya. Thank you.
Kepikiran deh satu pertanyaan.
Ya.
Berarti kan punya kami ini, punya saya lah misalkan supply chain dan juga berhubung ke sales itu karena kita obsolete produknya tuh banyak.
Iya.
Nah itu tuh apakah apa sih namanya, kayak dikuranginnya tuh bisa dari supply chain aja safety stoknya atau gimana, Miss?
Opsinya ada 2. Yang pertama, kalian jangan memproduksi terlalu banyak dulu. Jadi ibaratnya kayak ya udahlah dihabisin aja dulu stoknya yang ada gitu, biar nggak makin banyak yang expire. Itu yang pertama ya, kalau dia relate sama operations. Terus yang kedua, dari salesnya kalian jualan service levelnya harus diturunin. Kalau diturunin kan berarti company-nya dapat diskon kan gitu. Bayarnya less. Jadi kan bayarnya less dari harga normal gitu. Jadi misalnya kayak let's say harganya $1 nih misalnya. Terus kalian shelf life-nya 90%, berarti mereka cuma bayar 90 sen aja, 90% dari harga total. Jadi ibaratnya mereka dapat diskon kan. Kalau dapat diskon kan berarti mereka let's assume ya udah mereka mau beli lebih banyak gitu, karena murah nih diskon, ya udah di stok aja kayak gitu. Tapi ya itu tadi balik lagi, mereka mau beli banyak nggak? Kalau misalnya ternyata dekat-dekat expire, ya ngapain juga gitu. Sama frozen periodnya, dari mana ya? Supply chain ya, itu jangan di set terlalu tinggi, set 1 minggu aja atau 2 minggu aja kayak gitu.
Oke, Miss. Oke,
thank you Kasih Bundo. Oke, terakhir ya yang aku mau lihat dari The Barbar Group. Wah, ngeri banget sih namanya. The Barbar Group, Maulidina Lubis. Dia peringkat pertama supply chain dan pemain tunggal. Oke, ada pertanyaan, Miss. Boleh dijelasin tentang shelf life nggak, Miss? Jadi shelf life itu sebenarnya masa simpan produk kamu sebelum dia expire, kayak gitu. Jadi normally kalau misalnya dia shelf life-nya 100%, itu berarti dia 20 minggu kayak gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya kalian menjanjikan shelf life yang rendah, nggak tinggi, itu berarti juga produknya kayak ya udah lebih cepat expire dan harus dikonsumsi lebih cepat kayak gitu. Oke, pertanyaan gross margin tuh yang gimana? Gross margin itu sebenarnya dari hasil penjualan kalian sih, bisa lihat di finance. Sebentar ya, nanti kalau si Barbar, kalau Barbar nge-share screen aku tunjukin. Oke, Barbar Group, salah satunya siapa nih? Boleh kaptennya atau boleh yang lain? Oke, Maulidina deh. Maulidina, kamu sendiri ya main supply chain ini, iya nggak sih? Oke, ini yang untuk oke, sebentar ya. Kita Maulidina, kamu boleh
Yes, Miss.
Open new tab nggak yang di finance itu?
Yang mana, Miss?
Finance yang di atas sebelahnya supply chain, sebelah supply chain. Ya, open new tab aja. Nah, ya udah dah, nggak apa-apa. Nah, ini gross marginnya kelihatan di sini ya. Jadi itu misalnya nih yang dari Barber Group 339. Nah, di atasnya itu ada breakdown-nya. Coba yang di sebelah purchase value itu ada tanda plus, bisa kamu klik nggak? Purchase value yang sebelah kiri. Nah, itu ada tanda di bawahnya realized revenue. Nah, ini. Jadi gross margin itu dia kayak purchase value dari raw materialnya kalian gitu. Kalau gross marginnya tinggi itu berarti sorry aku lupa. Kalau gross marginnya tinggi berarti kalian spendingnya terlalu banyak kayak gitu. Jadi bisa untuk masing-masing bisa lihat performance-nya di finance seperti apa ya. Termasuk juga ini kalau misalnya Barber Group, kenapa sih dia turun banget sampai minus 21? Ternyata penaltinya banyak. Mereka di ronde ini penaltinya sampai 700.000 lebih, hampir 800.000. Yang kalau kita lihat tampilannya tadi operations, kayaknya availability stoknya banyak ya, kayak gitu. Itu ngaruh ya semuanya. Coba Maulidina balik ke My Company, coba diklik My Company-nya. Yang di atas My Company. My Company.
Loading, Miss.
Oh ya, nggak apa-apa loading. Kalau value production adherence-nya tinggi, berarti dia bagus ya. Aku lupa. Iya, kayaknya ya bagus. Kalau dia hijau, berarti bagus. Tadi siapa ya yang grupnya production adherence-nya tinggi, berarti performance-nya bagus. Oke, ini supply chain tadi Maulidina peringkat pertama, kecuali yang terakhir yaitu skornya agak nggak bagus. Availability components-nya tinggi 57,5%. Makanya di sebenarnya availability komponennya rendah di sini, makanya kalau kita lihat box merahnya pack 1 liternya itu low availability, jadi kamu kekurangan pack 1 liter. Terus habis itu untuk raw materialnya ya. Terus untuk yang stoknya ada banyak tuh, 1, 2, 3 ya. 3 produk yang low level kayak gitu. Jadi kurang produksi, ibaratnya kayak gitu. Kurang produksi karena kurang raw materialnya. Jadi nanti minta order lebih banyak ya dari purchasing. Gitu. Oke, ada yang lain mungkin yang bisa kita lihat. Purchasing boleh deh. Coba diklik yang hijau.
Muncul nggak, Miss?
Belum, masih loading. Diklik aja yang hijau. Oh,
udah,
iya. Oke, udah. Oke, di sini dia rejection komponennya rendah. Jadi dalam artian ini ya banyak, ibaratnya kalian banyak order raw material tapi nggak lolos QC kayak gitu. Salah satunya ternyata itu ya botol PET. Kayaknya hampir semua grup deh bermasalah di botol PET-nya. Sama jadinya juga raw material cost-nya jadinya lebih banyak kayak gitu. Oke, yang lain operations. Operations ke kuning.
Ya, Miss. Loading kayaknya, Miss.
Iya ya, nggak apa-apa. Yap, operations so far so good. Ini kecuali yang adherence-nya ya, kayak sama deh, kalian bermasalah di shift-nya. Tadi pertanyaannya Dila, value adherence-nya tinggi berarti bagus ya. Oke, yang terakhir sales. Yang orange. Oke, pertanyaan dari Siwi, masih bingung sama lot size. Jadi lot size itu adalah kayak di titik mana sih kalian harus restock lagi produknya kalian. Oke, sales, wow, bagus banget. Obsolete produknya nggak ada. Jadi ini tadi ya, kayaknya di grupnya, aku lupa di grupnya siapa yang tadi aku bilang, kalian menghabiskan raw material banget, jualan banget, tapi nggak memproduksi. Makanya di sini obsolete produknya rendah ya. Jadi ibaratnya stok di warehouse-nya dihabisin semua, makanya nggak ada yang kadaluarsa. Tapi ya udah, kalian kekurangan raw material kayak gitu, kekurangan raw material sama finish good-nya jadinya juga habis karena ternyata habis dijual semua. Makanya di sini obsolete produknya rendah. Gross margin itu terkait dengan finance, nanti bisa dicek masing-masing, sama service level order lines-nya. Nah ini bisa jadi ini ya, ada misalnya kayak gini nih, kalau Dominix-nya itu service levelnya tinggi, berarti dia kontrak indeksnya tinggi, berarti dia ada di priority pertama. Tapi ternyata kalian setnya mungkin dia bukan first come first serve atau bukan di top priority. Makanya dia di sini merah order lines-nya. Karena harus diperhitungkan juga ya, siapa sih premium customer-nya kalian based on kontrak indeksnya kayak gitu. Oke, thank you Maulidina dan Barbar Group. Ada pertanyaan dari yang lain?
Saya mau nanya, Miss.
Ya, Sandi.
Berarti kalau misal saya masih bingung tuh, your score tuh, skornya kalau lebih gede, misal yang skor awalnya di round 0 itu 50%, habis itu yang kedua skornya 60%. Nah, belum tentu lebih gede skornya itu bertanda lebih baik ya, Miss ya. Karena misal kayak di yang itu apa tuh namanya istilahnya itu yang dia pokoknya itulah intinya. Jadi kayak misal kalau absolute product deh, kalau misal skornya absolute product lebih tinggi daripada skor awal, berarti itu menandakan penurunan ya, Miss ya.
Kalau obsolete produknya lebih tinggi di ronde berikutnya, iya berarti performance kalian nggak baik. Karena awalnya bagus sih, udah nggak punya obsolete lagi, tahu-tahu obsolete-nya ternyata tinggi. Berarti yang di ronde berikutnya kalian punya banyak produk yang kadaluarsa, kayak gitu.
Oke. Jadi berarti juga misal ke solve satu problem juga bisa menimbulkan masalah di problem lainnya. Kayak contoh tadi kan kalau Miss jelasin, saya notice-nya yang absolute product tuh, kalau misal absolute produknya tuh kecil, nah tapi barang yang dijual juga jadinya dikit gitu karena raw material yang diolah dikit. Nah itu justru jadi permasalahan di sales-nya, jadi nggak kepenuhin demand. Bisa kayak gitu juga ya berarti ya, Miss ya?
Iya, untuk next round-nya bisa seperti itu. Karena kan di sini kalian nggak rendah banget tuh obsolete produknya. Jadi ibaratnya stoknya udah mau habis kan gitu, udah hampir habis. Malah di supply chain-nya tadi, aku lupa, kayak di supply chain-nya ya, udah ada warning di situ kan. Ternyata banyak finish good-nya yang low availability. Terus tadi juga pack 1 liternya juga low availability. Ibaratnya karena kalian udah jualan banyak banget. Terus tapi stoknya habis dan mungkin kalian juga di operations entah mungkin warehouse-nya paletnya kurang, makanya nggak bisa nyetok raw material kayak gitu. Next time bisa jadi kalian kalau nggak diselamatkan istilahnya, apalagi yang terutama untuk barbar ya. Next time kalau misalnya kalian nggak maintain production-nya, nah bisa jadi justru kalian loss-nya banyak karena udah nggak ada lagi yang bisa dijual. Ibaratnya sekarang stok kalian udah habis di warehouse kayak gitu. Jadi di sini sangat berpengaruh pepatah yang bilang meraih itu lebih gampang daripada mempertahankan. Jadi yang performance-nya baik minggu ini dipertahankan ya, jangan sampai drop di minggu depan. Gitu.
Oke, Miss, cukup dari saya biar nggak kelamaan takutnya. Thank you.
Oke, thank you Sandi. Anyway, kalau misalnya, sorry ya, harusnya 9.45 udah selesai sih. Sedikit lagi ya, kalau misalnya ada pertanyaan atau mau konsultasi, nanti bisa bikin appointment ya per grup, biar nanya lagi tentang apa yang terjadi. Next untuk ronde kedua ya gini ya, apa challenge-nya. Jadi kalau kalian buka di menunya masing-masing, pasti kalau yang kemarin banyak yang freezing, sekarang udah bisa kebuka. Jadi ini adalah yang perlu kalian perhatikan di ronde kedua. Jadi yang sales sekarang udah ada nambah challenge-nya payment terms. Jadi masing-masing customer itu kalian bisa nentuin, ya udah lu ngambil barangnya dulu bayarnya minggu depan atau bayarnya bulan depan. Nah, kayak gitu. Terus SCM, Frozen Period in Production, terus operations juga terkait raw material inspection ya. Jadi terutama untuk yang obsolete-nya di purchasing banyak gitu yang nggak sesuai QC. Jadi kalian harus cek juga raw material inspection. Terus self breakdown training. Jadi mesinnya banyak yang suka rusak. Jadi operator kalian harus di training supaya tahu benerin mesin yang rusak. Di sini purchasing, ada supplier selection juga. Payment terms-nya sama ya, sama sales. Kalian bisa nentuin kapan dibayarnya. Terus yang baru di sini juga adalah transport mode. Jadi kalau kita lihat, salah satunya nih supplier selection. Ini contohnya ya, nanti bisa dicek di menunya masing-masing. Ini suppliernya kalian bisa pilih komponennya mau komponen apa. Sama yang satu lagi contohnya, ini contoh aja ya, untuk transport mode-nya, kayak misalnya ini Spanyol. Awalnya pakai truk, nah ini bisa kalian ganti, bisa sama kereta, bisa pakai pesawat, tapi jangan asal ganti ya, karena kalau pesawat consider lebih mahal, terus tahu-tahu kalian bangkrut lagi gara-gara produk karena biaya transportnya terlalu mahal, ngabisin duit di situ. Jadi ini ya salah dua dari banyak yang harus kalian perhatikan. Salah satu contohnya di purchasing ini. Ini aku upload di di Canvas, jadi nanti bisa ngecek lagi. Ada pertanyaan? 5 menit terakhir, 5 menit lagi pasien FYP sudah menunggu soalnya. Ada yang mau ditanyakan? Jadi ada beberapa fitur baru ya yang udah terbuka di ininya kalian. Silakan dicek masing-masing. Kalau pertanyaannya kapan di close gamenya? Di close-nya 2 minggu depan ya. Karena minggu depan kita libur. Aku mau cuti aja hari Jumat. Jadi silakan kalian punya 2 minggu untuk ubek-ubek. Apalagi sekarang udah, ya harapannya udah familiar ya sama apa yang terjadi di company-nya masing-masing. So I give you extra time to think about it, to save your company. Jadi 2 minggu depan di hari Jumat baru kita calculate lagi ronde keduanya. Oke? Questions? Ada pertanyaan?